Imagine being a little kid who loves football, and your dream is to play for the school you grew up watching. But because of an injury, your hopes and dreams are almost taken away. The school does cut you some slack, but you were still never expected to actually play for the team. Well, the subject of today's video went through all of that, and would go on to become a hometown hero for his team. Over the last few years, Justin Herbert has blossomed into a star at Oregon, but I feel like the narrative around Herbert is that he will be a bust in the NFL. With all the talk about Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa, Herbert seems to be the forgotten quarterback in the 2020 class. In today's video, I want to talk about his incredible journey to becoming a top NFL draft pick for the Ducks, and why I think he could actually be a star in the NFL one day. But first, if you are new to the channel, I make videos all about college football, and I really need your help to reach 11,000 subscribers by the end of September. Let me know who I should do next down in the comment section, and turn on post notifications so you never miss another upload. Now let's get started with the rise of Justin Herbert and why he could be a star. Believe it or not, Justin Herbert was never supposed to be an NFL player, yet alone a potential NFL star, as he was only a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, and for a while, it didn't even look like he would get a chance to play FBS football. But before we could talk about his recruitment, we have to go all the way back to the mid-1900s and meet Justin's grandfather. Rich Swab was a wide receiver for the Ducks back in the 60s and helped instill a love and passion for the Ducks inside of his grandson Justin. The Herbert family grew up 10 minutes from Autzen Stadium, and the family were season ticket holders for the Ducks. He grew up as diehard of a fan as you could be, and he idolized former Duck great LaMichael James. Justin was 6'6" and had all the tools in the world to become a good quarterback, but the Ducks staff never really seriously looked at him. When they finally did though, he apparently showed the staff some magic, and then he'd be thrown a serious curveball. He would get injured his junior year of high school, and all of a sudden, it looked like the little interest they had in him was gone. He would still go on to have a fantastic high school football career though, but it didn't look like he would be an Oregon Duck. He was actually perfectly fine playing for Montana State with his brother, and that sort of became the plan for him, but things changed. Mark Helfrich called up Justin and said that they had remembered when he threw the ball for the staff back in the day, and they happily offered him a scholarship. Herbert didn't care one bit how late it came. He was so excited he could be able to say he could wear the Oregon jersey, and he honestly said he never expected to play a single snap for the Ducks as a starter. He said maybe as a junior or senior he could play in mop-up time or something like that, but never did he imagine in his wildest dreams what was to come next. According to 24/7 Sports, Justin Herbert was a 3-star recruit, the number 26 pro-style quarterback, and the 659th best player in the class of 2016. Going into the 2016 season, the Ducks were under head coach Mark Helfrich and needed a new quarterback after Vernon Adams had graduated. He would enter the season as the second-string quarterback on the depth chart, but it wouldn't take long for the staff to notice his talent. By the time the 5th game of the season had rolled around, it was going to be time for Justin to do something he never thought he would do in his entire Oregon career: start. They would get absolutely murdered by Washington in that game, but Herbert was the future of the team. He would go on to help them win a come-from-behind game against number 11 Utah, but the promise Herbert showed was really the only good thing that would come out of Eugene that year. For the first time in over a decade, the Ducks weren't going to be going to a bowl game, and they finished with a 4-8 record, the worst in 25 years. As a freshman, Justin Herbert threw for 1,936 yards and 19 touchdowns in only 8 starts. He was truly the future of Oregon football, but the coach who gave him a chance wasn't going to be there anymore, as Mark Helfrich was fired after the terrible season. In comes former South Florida head coach Willie Taggart, and he was charged with the task of rebuilding the Ducks program. Taggart brought in Mario Cristobal to be a coordinator for the team, and he also implemented a completely different style of offense compared to the Chip Kelly-Helfrich style. Surprisingly, the transition went quite well for Herbert, as he threw for 5 touchdowns in their first 3 wins, including a giant win over Nebraska. The Ducks would enter the polls at number 24 in the country, but they would lose to Arizona State before disaster struck. Against Cal the following week, he would start out 7 for 8 and a touchdown, but he would fracture his collarbone, and all of a sudden, Herbert was injured and on the bench. Not surprisingly, the Ducks struggled in their next few games, and they dropped 4 of 5. Thankfully for all parties involved, Herbert would return for the last 2 games of the season, where he led them to wins over both Arizona and Oregon State to clinch bowl eligibility. To this point, Herbert had shown his true colors, rallied the troops, and helped Oregon reach the Las Vegas Bowl. They were matched up against number 25 Boise State, but Herbert and the Ducks struggled and lost the game. As a sophomore, Herbert threw for 1,983 yards and 16 touchdowns, despite nursing an injury and adjusting to a new head coach. Going into the 2018 season, Herbert was a Heisman candidate, and they'd also have to find a new head coach, as Willie Taggart jumped ship for his dream job at Florida State. It's kind of sad how that all turned out. So who was going to be the new coach for the Ducks? Mario Cristobal was promoted to head coach, and he was going to be Justin's third head coach in 3 years. Cristobal once again changed the offensive system from the pistol to the spread, and Herbert was going to have to learn a new style again. He would throw for 5 touchdowns in their Week 1 win over Bowling Green, and the Ducks climbed up all the way to number 20 in the polls for a showdown with number 7 Stanford. In what was a really thrilling game, Herbert struggled under the lights, and they lost to the Cardinal in overtime. Like any good leader would do though, he rallied the troops once again, and proceeded to go beat number 24 California the following week, and then helped lead them to an impressive overtime win over number 7 Washington.
Mitchell goes in motion, they hand it off straight ahead for a touchdown! C.J. Verdell wins the game for Oregon!
Him and the team would hit a wall though, as they lost 3 of their next 4 games. But they would rebound and beat Arizona State and Oregon State to finish the regular season at 8-4. Things didn't go exactly how Herbert would have liked, but they were matched up with Michigan State in the Red Box Bowl. The Ducks would win 7-6 in a weird game, and Justin was going to have a choice to make. After throwing for 3,151 yards and 29 touchdowns, plus having prototype NFL size, Justin was expected to be a first-round draft pick, so he was going to be choosing between money in his future or the team's unfinished business and his childhood dreams. Herbert loved Oregon so much though that he realized coming back was worth the risk, and he returned for his senior campaign. The Ducks had a ton of hype in year 2 under Cristobal, and they were set to open the season on the national stage against Auburn. In what was one of the best games of the 2019 season, Auburn freshman Bo Nix threw a game-winning touchdown to Seth Williams with seconds to go, and the Ducks' playoff hopes were already on life support. But as Justin has always done, he rallied the troops. He led them to 9 straight wins, including 4 games where he threw for 4 more touchdowns, but they still had one more big test. They were set to play under the lights once again, this time against Arizona State. This game did not go well for Herbert and the Ducks, as Jaden Daniels had a huge game, and Oregon just ran out of time. The team's playoff hopes were officially over, and once again, Herbert disappointed when his team needed him the most. They beat Oregon State and would play in the Pac-12 championship against Utah, and if they won, they could go to the Rose Bowl. Herbert didn't do much, but they did beat number 5 Utah pretty easily, and they were headed to Pasadena. In what would become the game that defined his career, Justin Herbert finally showed up under the lights and helped lead the Ducks to a win over Wisconsin behind his legs as he went for 3 rushing touchdowns, including the game-sealing one midway through the 4th quarter. It wasn't the title, but the Rose Bowl was a good consolation prize for him, and I honestly think it was worth it to him. As a senior, Justin threw for 3,471 yards, 32 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. He wouldn't win the Heisman that year, but he won the William Campbell Trophy, which is basically the academic Heisman Award. Coming back for his senior season didn't really seem to hurt his draft stock either, as he was taken with the 6th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft by the Los Angeles Chargers. With Phillip Rivers moving on to the Colts, people expect Herbert will be given the expectations of a franchise quarterback, and head coach Anthony Lynn believes he can become one. Personally, I'm sick and tired of seeing people and videos all over the internet labeling him as the next big bust in the NFL before he even steps foot on the field. This guy may have had mediocre results at times, but he has a winning attitude, he's someone who puts the team first, someone who works hard, and someone who has battled adversity and has had the underdog mindset his entire life, and that's the kind of guy I want in my locker room. He has the arm, body, and intangibles to become a good NFL quarterback, but I think it could take some time and some good coaching. I personally love Herbert, and I want nothing but to see him succeed in the league. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please be sure to smash that like button and let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you are new, be sure to subscribe and help me reach 11,000 subscribers by the end of September. While you are still here, check out my video about the rise of Drew Lock next, and all my other NFL player videos. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, but until next time, peace.